You ever have that feeling? Like the harder you try to hold on to something, maybe it's money or success or just a sense of security, the more you just feel stuck? Well, today we're going to unpack that feeling. We're going to look at a really powerful idea called the architecture of abundance.
It all starts right here with a feeling I think pretty much everyone knows. You know, that clenching sensation? When you're gripping onto something so hard just because you're terrified of what happens if you let it go?
So what is it that we're holding on to with a white-knuckle grip? A lot of the time, it really just comes down to wanting more. More security, which, let's be honest, we usually tie to money, and more recognition, that shine. It's totally natural, it's just part of being human.
But when you're constantly gripping and grasping, it can lead you to a pretty tough question. Do you ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels? Like, what if the very act of holding on so tight is the exact thing keeping you from moving forward?
And that gets us to the heart of the problem we're talking about today, the grip of more. But if you look a little deeper, underneath that grip, there's usually another question we have to ask ourselves. Is the real problem here just a fear of letting go?
So here's where things get a little counterintuitive. It's this fascinating paradox. If you really want to double what you have, if you want genuine growth, the first step isn't about getting more. It's actually about letting go of something first.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do you actually learn to let go? Well, it turns out there's a framework, a tool, designed for this exact purpose, and it's called REVIALEX. So what on earth is REVIALEX? Think of it like a 6-part system. Its whole job is to help you shift your mindset away from that feeling of scarcity and fear, that holding on, and move you towards a place of openness, a place that can actually welcome in abundance.
All right, let's break this thing down. We're going to start with the first 3 principles that really form the foundation of this whole idea: resilience, vision, and time. First up, the absolute bedrock of the whole framework. R stands for resilience. And you've got to have this because, the process of letting go is almost never a straight line.
And really, that's what it all comes down to. Resilience isn't about never failing. It's the total opposite. It's about building that internal bounce back, that inner voice that says, okay, that didn't work. Let's go again. That's the engine that keeps you moving.
Okay, so you've got resilience. But what's next? V is for vision. Because trying again without knowing where you're going is it's just spinning your wheels. Vision is what gives your resilience a direction to go in.
Vision is all about giving yourself permission to look past what's right in front of your face. It's about seeing a bigger picture, imagining a future that's way more expansive than your current problems. It's the why that fuels your try again.
Now, having a big vision like that can feel, a little overwhelming, right? So this next principle, T for time, is what ties the first 2 together and makes them actually doable.
And this is such a crucial piece of the puzzle. A huge vision can feel impossible, but the idea of time grounds it. It's a reminder that real growth happens with patience, with consistency, by just focusing on the next step. And then the step after that, it's what makes that big vision feel achievable.
All right, so that's the first half of the framework. Now let's get into the final 3 principles, which are just as powerful: acceptance, legacy, and expansion. So once we embrace patience, we get to A, which stands for acceptance. And this is where the real deep internal work happens. Because you can't really move forward if you're still stuck beating yourself up over past mistakes. This might be the hardest one, but it's also the most freeing. Acceptance is about looking at where you are right now, the flaws, the mistakes, all of it, and just giving yourself a little bit of grace. It's that simple act of saying it's okay that finally gives you permission to move on. And once you can find that place of self-acceptance, something cool happens. Your focus can start to shift outward. And that brings us to our next letter, L for legacy. This is where we move from asking, how am I doing, to what am I doing this for?
Legacy makes us think beyond our own immediate wants and needs. It forces you to ask bigger questions, like, what kind of impact do I want to have? What am I building that's going to be around long after I'm gone? It's about connecting what you do every day to a deeper purpose that makes it all matter.
And so all of these principles, resilience, vision, time, acceptance, and legacy, they all lead up to this, the final letter, the ultimate goal of the framework, E for expansion.
Expansion is really just the natural result of putting all these other pieces together. I mean, think about it. When you're resilient, when you're guided by a vision, you're patient, you accept yourself, and you're driven by a legacy, growth is basically inevitable.
You start to expand way beyond the limits you used to put on yourself.
So, okay, now we have the whole framework, but this isn't just about learning a cool theory. The real power here comes from turning these ideas inward. And that leads to a direct challenge in the form of some very personal questions.
And the challenge starts by bringing us right back to that feeling we talked about at the very beginning. After all that striving, all that holding on, the first question is just a simple check-in with yourself. Is your heart tired?
And this is where it all clicks into place. Look at how these questions are a perfect mirror of the REVIALEX framework. Can you try again? That's your resilience. Can you see bigger? That's vision. Wait wisely. That's time. Can you forgive you? Acceptance. Dream longer. Legacy. And stretch wider. That's expansion. It turns the whole framework into a personal checklist you can use.
And it all leads to this final, huge question. After you've done the work of letting go, after you've built your resilience, cast your vision, found your purpose, the real question is, once you've finally opened your hands and made some space, are you actually ready for what comes next? Can you welcome wealth in all the ways it shows up?